Hey viewers, this is Zane, and I am a first-year IB higher level economics student. In this video, I will be discussing something called market failure. If you're shaky on the topic, have forgotten most of it, or just don't plain know what I'm talking about, then this is perfect for you. From this video, you should learn how market failure can be defined and what these definitions actually mean. You'll learn various examples and analogies of market failures, and I will try to relate market failure to the current world tobacco industry. And then at the end, I'm going to wrap it up with a conclusion to sum up everything that we've done. Alright, first things first. What do smart economists define market failure as? They say, in economics, a market failure occurs when there's an inefficient allocation of goods and services in a market. In layman's terms, this means that when we talk about market failure in economic terms and say that a particular firm or industry, essentially a company or someone that produces something, a firm, is undergoing market failure, we are really just saying that they are producing, too much or too little of a good or service for the buyers or consumers to buy. And let's back that up with an example. Let's say that we have 10 hungry kids, and each of these kids wants to buy or demands one double quarter pounder. So these kids head over to McDonald's to make their order, and it turns out the McDonald's crew has only made or supplies 7 double quarter pounders. We can say now that the market has failed because McDonald's has failed to produce enough double quarter pounders to supply the demand of its 10 customers. The allocation of resources in the market is inefficient. 3 kids will go hungry because the demand for their double quarter pounders has failed to be produced. On the other hand, the speedy crew may have made 13 double quarter pounders. This would also be considered as market failure because the McDonald's crew has produced more than the demand of its 10 customers. The allocation of resources in the market is yet again inefficient because 3 double quarter pounders will be wasted because they will not be desired by the consumers, and this is not good. So to avoid market failure completely, McDonald's will have to produce exactly as many double quarter pounders as will be demanded by its customers. In this example, that would be 10 burgers because there are 10 customers that demand 1 double quarter pounder each. And as you may guess, it is very hard to achieve this in real life when you are looking at the supply and demand of products on a large scale, and whose demand of which is influenced by many factors which cannot be predicted. And now I'm going to move on to the tobacco industry. The tobacco industry refers to the growth, processing, shipment, advertising, and sales of tobacco and tobacco-related goods. Tobacco is most commonly sold in the form of cigarettes, which are smoked by its users. Tobacco is known to be addictive and carcinogenic. That is, it has chemicals in it that make you desire it greatly and can potentially give you cancer, usually of the mouth or lungs. The tobacco industry globally is dominated by several large firms. These firms produce brands of cigarettes that you may be familiar with, such as Marlboro, Camel, Lucky Strikes, and Newport. The tobacco industry is generally said to be an industry that sustains numerous types of market failure. I will be examining 2 sides of this statement in a broad sense. I will be discussing how the market has failed from the perspective of society, and I will also be discussing how the market has failed from the perspective of the tobacco producing industry. For the first part, I will need to call up upon another part of the definition of market failure. It goes something like this. Market failures can be viewed as scenarios where individuals' pursuit of pure self-interest leads to results that are not efficient, that can be further improved from the societal point of view. Now, this is more simple than it seems. It basically means that the cost of producing the good in question is less than the cost of its impact on society. For example, you could buy a pair of cheapy $10 roller skates at a store, ride them once, and fall and break your leg, causing $5,000 worth of damage to be surgically repaired. By definition, we can see that this is actually market failure. The roller skates firm, in pursuit of self-interest, has led them to charge $10 for a pair of roller skates that will, in the future, call for improvement from a societal point of view, as seen by the $5,000 price tag as a result of injury after purchase. Now, that particular example was just a single random occurrence, certainly nothing to base economic reason on. So we will have to find a better example, and we find that in the tobacco industry. Using various assumptions and statistics that I researched, I was able to model the amount of damage in medical costs in US dollars that a single cigarette does to a person who smokes it. And I calculated this figure to be about 70 cents per stick, or 7/10 of a dollar per cigarette. Using the same model, I found that the cost of a single cigarette was about 35 cents, or 0.35 US dollars. We can quickly say that this is market failure. If you don't understand why this is market failure, then I will remind you again that we are comparing the pursuit of self-interest of the firm with the adverse effects that their production has on society. Basically, I'm comparing the cost of creating the good with the amount of damage in cost that it does to society. The individual firm whom is in pursuit of self-interest in this situation is the tobacco industries, as they are aiming for maximum profit. Hence, they are selling their cigarettes low so as to entice buyers to buy more and thus make more total profit. We can also say that this particular situation can be improved from a societal point of view, because the damage that smoking their cigarettes or tobacco-related products does on society is higher than its sales cost. Please note that this cost on society is only the health costs and does not take into account other costs to society, such as pollution, secondhand smoke damage, and the cost of building smoker-specific facilities. Quite simply, to fix this part of the tobacco industry's market failure, tobacco prices should be increased. We can also say that the market has failed by looking from the perspective of the tobacco industries themselves. In general, economists will agree that market failure is a common justification for government intervention. We can then say that the tobacco market has failed from its own point of view, in that the level of government intervention towards their tobacco-related products is very high. By government intervention, I'm talking about any law or ruling that inhibits the sale or consumption of tobacco, such as advertising restrictions, taxing, prohibition, and prohibiting smoking in certain areas such as indoors or in clubs. Conclusively, we can see that market failure not only occurs in multiple forms from multiple points of view, but that it also occurs all around us, from the smallest of shops to the largest of multi-billion-dollar firms. You should also understand that a perfect market, where market failure does not exist in any amount, that this type of scenario is very hard to achieve in the real world. And that is all I have for you guys. I hope you learned something, and for now, this has been Zane. Thank you all.